Alright everybody, welcome back. This is another Ask a Dev Unreal Engine tutorial. Today we are going to be talking about the final video for our advanced leg setup, specifically the FK-IK snapping portion of it. My name's Kevin. Before we get started, big shout out to the community. Thank you everybody for all your support. I'm learning a ton from you. If you like what we're doing here, feel free to help out the channel, help spread the word. We have our super thanks and super stickers down below. They should be around the channel here somewhere where you can click on them, as well as the Patreon down in the links below. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. We have a lot to do as far as snapping, and we're probably going to stumble a little bit because it's a little complicated. So here we are. Let's see where we left off. We have our rig, and what we need to do is let's go ahead and start with the FK alignment first. So what we want to do is we're going to replace this util align FK to IK. So what we need, if we go in here right now, this is pretty straightforward. This is literally just a basically aligning the joints, the FK controls to the current placement of the joints. So when we're in IK mode, those will line up. We need one more piece. We want to align those new FK joint chains as good measure to where the current joints are as well. So let's go ahead and do that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to once again break this out. Let's take the util align FK to IK. I'm going to go Control C, Control V, and I'm going to call this util align advanced align FK to IK. And let's go ahead and plug it in just so that we don't forget that like we've done before. We'll start with this leg and let's go util align advanced FK to IK. We'll plug in our items, which is the FK controls, and we will get rid of this. All right, now in here, this is going to continue to work, but before we finish, I'm going to break this up. Let's go ahead and put in a sequence, and we'll go through our for each, and then we'll go ahead and put this on the return. That way we know we're going to return properly no matter what, and then what we can do is we can go ahead and do whatever we need to off of this complete. So what do we need to do off this complete? Let's get all of our FK joints and align them just like we're doing here, but with the FK joints instead. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. When we're complete, we're going to come down and we're going to go through another for each loop. We could probably combine these, but for now let's just keep it separate, and we're going to be using the controls again. So let's get the FK controls, and I'm going to do this like so just to clean up our noodles. Copy and paste this down here. Now what we need to do is for each of our FK controls, we need to find the not FK controls. For each of our FK controls, we need to find the FK bone associated with it, and then we need to align that to the IK bone that's associated with the FK bone. So much like we've done before, we're going to do a bunch of concatenating and substituting and replacing. So here's our FK controls. If we take this and we replace underbar control, actually, let's see here, get the FK controls. I actually want the bones. We could do this. Let's replace the, underbar control should get us the FK. So if we go none, then what we're going to do with that is we are going to also take that and concatenate, or no, let's take that, let's do the same thing. Let's replace, and this time we're going to replace the underbar FK underbar control with underbar IK. So this is going to be our IK bone. This should be our FK bone. And what we're going to do is we are going to get the transform of our IK bone, and we are going to set the transform of our FK bone. Make sure we're set to bone here, and Before we do this, we may want to go ahead and just make sure that the item exists, but we can just see if this works. Compile and save. Just for good measure, we'll just go ahead and do that. Let's do item exists. And this is the name of the item that we're setting. And if that is true, then we will continue. Oops. Okay, and feed in our condition. Make some room. A little bit of cleanup. Call that good. Okay, so theoretically, our left leg, when we're in IK mode, let's see if we're currently in FK mode. Our left leg, when we're in IK mode, we should see it following, but so far we don't. So let's see what we're feeding into this and see what we missed. So in here, we're in our left leg, we're doing our util align FK to IK. This item array holds thigh left. These are all of our FK controls. That should be what we're expecting. We are on the left side. Okay. When we come in here, we basically do our for loop. We line all of those up. We get our FK controls. We're chopping off the underbar control. Oh, item exists. We need this to be, boom. There we go. Let's try that. So if we translate this up, oh, we're still in FK. Let's translate this up. All right, there we go. Now, what I want to note here is you'll see that our FK chain is now following along. So when we pick this in our rig hierarchy, this is our FK offset. If we take our IK offset and move it off, you'll see that what's left behind is our FK chain. And we know this because if we pick it, you can see that this is selecting our knee offset. So pretty simply, we have set it up so that our FK align is working, which is great. Let's go ahead and compile, save this. And then what we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and update the right side as well really quickly, so that it also should just work. We don't have to worry about flipping or anything like that because it's just a straight alignment. So I'm just going to take a leap of faith that works. Now, the next snapping or alignment script that we need to replace is this align IK to FK. So let's dig into this a little bit. And what we're going to do is a similar thing. I'm going to take the align FK to IK, Control C, Control V, and I'm going to call this the advanced align IK to FK. And we already have it open here, and we have a fair bit more work to do in this one. All right, so what we need, this is going to stay the same. This is just setting our foot control, I believe. Getting the controls, yep, that's our foot control. Getting the bones, that should be fine. Now, we need to do a bunch of work to basically redo our IK setup. So let's see if we have the variables we need in here. We do not. So we're going to need a few local variables. Those are going to be the classic reference variables that we had before. So let's just go ahead and make those. This is going to be our up leg. What do we call this? The up leg ref. And it's a name. And let's create another one. This is going to be our low leg ref. And then finally we have our foot ref. This is our foot underbar ref. All right, with those, let's see if we can save ourselves a little bit of work here. And where is our advanced FK, IK leg? What we're going to do is we are going to set these variables. Okay, and we'll go back to our aligning, paste these in, whoops. Okay, so we have our variables, and now what we need to do is a little bit of work. And what we want is we want our IK leg to basically set up. So a bunch of this stuff is being used right now, so let's just clean this up a little bit. We're not even using any of this stuff. So we'll get rid of that just to help out. Okay, and we need to basically redo our IK in here. So while our FK is in effect, we're going to be using our IK. We're going to be basically aligning our IK with an IK solve to get there. So let's go back to our advanced IK leg and see if we can borrow a bunch of this stuff. So we're going to take this whole thing, copy it, and we're going to paste it into here. Of course, I accidentally deselected. Okay, plug that in. So what should be happening already is, are we in FK mode? We are. If I move my FK leg, we should see our IK stuff traveling, but we are leaving a leg behind, so we must have missed something. Low leg ref. Did I name these properly? Up leg ref, low leg ref, and let's see here, our nulls. Oh, we may not be feeding in our nulls. Oh, actually, we're not even calling the advanced IK. So we have a little bit of work to do here. This is this one here. We're doing the left side first. Okay, so let's call the advanced align IK to FK, and we'll feed in our bones. We're basically going to hijack all of these things and our nulls, and we are going to flip this one, and then we can delete that and feed this in. Okay, interesting. We definitely have something happening, but it's not happy. So let's go ahead and compile this. So that is because our nulls, we're missing one. What we're expecting here, we're missing in our null array. So back here in our rig, the null that we want, if we look at this, we only have two. We have our left foot offset and our left foot RV. We need one more. And the one that we need is the left foot RV. Now, technically, I don't even think we need the, let me double check here. Do we even need, oh wait, we have our foot RV. That's fine. So that should be, I guess our index is just wrong. Let's see if we're using any other nulls in here. So those are nulls, controls, null 0 2. We are definitely using other nulls. So let's see what we've got. We may have also simplified this. So let's just go ahead and change. For now, let's just change this to 2. Compile. Wait a second. 0 1. Actually, it should be 1, not 2. Let's come back in here. We don't need this one. 0 1. All right, compile. Hold on a second. The nulls, advanced align IK to FK. This is our nulls, advanced align IK to FK. Compile. Oh, interesting. Wow, it works both ways. Like I said, we were gonna have to click compile a bunch of times. Okay, so that's set up. Let's see how that goes. Now when we rotate, there we go. So now as we move this, our IK leg is actually moving, which is good. We have a couple other things that we need to do. You can see we have something going on with our offset here. We're going to need to get that in place. So here we go. We've got our IK working, and then let's take a look at what comes next. Okay, we don't need this update knee pull vector. I'm skeptical if we even need all this stuff. We will, let's see, when we go from IK to, we're going to keep this just in case. We may need this. Let's go ahead and from here, let's just set the transform. We're going to set the transform, and the transform we're going to be setting is going to be let's get our bones, and we're going to get the one that's at item 1, that's our calf. And with our calf, what we need to do is we need to do a little bit of concatenating. We want the knee offset, okay? So that knee offset, that is what we're going to be setting. We want to be setting the IK knee offset. This is a control. And what we're going to set it to is also a concat. And that is going to be, let's copy paste this. This is going to be our FK knee offset. And with that, we need to get the transform of it. Get the transform. My voice is starting to go, so I apologize. And we'll plug that into the value. So let's compile this. And let's take a look. Our entire foot is all messed up, so we do want to connect this back in. Okay, so now if we are in FK mode when we rotate our knee, that's cool. Something is going on here. Let's see here. This is a control. So let's compile that again. Still not happy with that FK knee offset. So this is 0, 1. IK knee offset is what we're setting. Did I spell FK knee offset? It's control global space. Interesting. What are we missing here? We're getting the bones. We're getting the index 1. What is this one? Calf lefty is not valid. I disagree. No, that is correct. This is the underbar control. This should be, I forgot we added the control flag to this. Okay. Calf left FK knee offset underbar control. Compiling twice. Oh my goodness. Alright, so taking this and rotating it. Okay, that's great. So you can see now what's happening is our IK control is actually set up to align to it, which is great. This is currently our FK. So if I move this, our IK goes with it. Okay, so that's good. Now, we have a couple more things that we need to do. When we move, remember the whole point of this is for snapping. So when we move this up, what we want to see happen is when we switch to IK from FK, that everything stays in place. But we're not there yet. It is okay when we are switching back and forth like so, but if we take the in FK mode and we rotate this, see, you can see that here, you can see that our leg is doing its best to get the IK alignment, but it can't quite get it. But this was the problem that we wanted to solve. So if I go ahead and I switch to IK, did you see how the knee moved? There's a couple reasons for this. So one reason is we actually forgot something in our FK alignment, in our advanced FK alignment. When we finish with this, there's one more thing that we need to do. What we need to do in our FK is we need to make it so that the FK knee offset gets zeroed out. Because remember, when we align FK to IK, it can achieve any pose. But that's not true the other way around. So the thing that we need to do here is we need to set the transform of a control. And the control is our FK knee offset control. So that is going to be, probably the easiest thing is going to be get our bones. Actually, let's go, I don't think we passed in our bones. So if we take this guy, which is the 1. So let's get, no, we need the item at, from this, we're going to get the item at 1, should be our calf. And with that item, what we're going to do is we're going to replace the underbar control and we're going to concatenate the underbar knee underbar offset, underbar control. And we're going to feed that into the name of the control. And I want to make a transform here. And what I want to set it to is I want to set it to nothing, 0 in local space. And the reason I want to do that is because by default, the FK knee offset should be basically no translation, because the FK joints themselves, or the FK controls themselves, can achieve any IK pose. So let's go ahead and test this. Take this and bend this. And then let's go ahead and do a quick pop back and forth. We definitely have a problem going on with which control is this? This is our IK, and we are currently in IK. We're gonna have to double check that. Let's see here. When we're in FK, the IK is aligned. When we're in IK, it works, it's just facing the wrong way. We're going to have to take a look at that. But let's just double check the thing we wanted to check, which was if we have a bend in our knee. And we are currently in FK, and we rotate this offset. If we switch to IK, there was a slight move, but when we switch back to FK, we didn't want the move. So we fixed that move, that's great. But we have this other move that's happening that we need to fix. So now, what exactly is going on here? So I don't know if you noticed it, but as I'm flipping back and forth between IK and FK, look at what's happening to the arrow on our IK chain. It's flipping up and down. That should not be happening. So when we are in, and this is one of the reasons why I'm happy we put in these temporary transform arrows for our IK and FK chains, so we could see which way they're facing. So we do not want this to switch. So when we go from, when we're in IK, it looks correct. When we go to FK, our IK chain looks to be upside down. Let's just double check that that is the actual chain that I think it is. So if we display axes on selected, okay, so yeah, so this is in fact our IK leg. Our IK leg is flipping when we are in FK mode. That's no bueno. So let's double check something here. So in our, and I believe if we turn off, we're not going to be able to turn off. If we align our IK to FK, let's see something. I think our vectors might be facing the wrong way. So what we're going to do is we're going to flop these. And this is also a problem. We need to make this perfectly clear. We need it left and right, proper, FK versus IK, etc. So let's go ahead and double check this. If we take our FK leg, we rotate it up, we rotate it down, and then we go ahead and we do this knee offset. Oh, look at that. Our knee is actually facing the right way. It looks like. So we're in FK, and also look, our control is also in the right place as well. So if we do that test now, where we flip from FK to IK, let's double check. Okay, our actual joints are no longer flipping back and forth. That's good. And we're pretty close. We're pretty close with the alignment. So let's just double check one more time. Let's see what we saw there when we did this. We're going to move this up, and we're going to move this down. And then let's go ahead, and this is the one thing that we want to adjust for. And you can see the IK counter animating that. That's great. And then let's go ahead and flip. Okay, I don't think the pose changed. Let's double check. So if we take we are in FK, if we take this and we move it, what I want to make sure is I want to make sure this knee joint does not move. So I'm going to zoom in really close here. Okay, I want to show you something. did this point actually move? That's what I want to know. So we got to watch that very closely. Actually, let's just do something. Let's line it up in the bottom corner and see if it moves. No, it's not moving. So what's moving is the twist of the overall leg. So let's just double check that one more time. Make sure our pose is staying the same. Our pose is staying the same. It's rock solid, okay? Which is great. So what is happening? What is happening is our twist joints we're not accounting for the potential twist differences between the FK and the IK. Now, how big a problem is that? Well, part of it is tough math. So I'm actually going to say this is good. This is good. Now, there's a couple of things that are worth talking about here that are important to understand. When we're doing this switch, what we're effectively doing when we switch from FK to IK is we are basically baking in the IK solve is getting baked into that IK knee offset. So we're moving that thing. It is really important that Team Anim understands that we're moving that thing. And you may want to have a discussion. It is possible that Team Anim would rather that the knee adjusts properly to a pose that the IK can solve for than as opposed to moving that offset. Now, in my personal experience, with all the different anim crews I've worked with and my own animation, I would rather keep the pose. I'm fine with that knee offset getting baked into the pose. But let's just double check a couple things before we call this a wrap. So here's our default pose. When I switch back and forth, I don't want to see any movement. I'm toggling this back and forth, nothing's moving. That's great. So when we're in FK mode, let's go ahead and take this, translate it up, move it into space, and do the same thing again. Let's go ahead and do some toggling. Nothing's moving, rock solid. That's awesome. Okay, so we're still in IK mode. Now let's do something like offset our knee. Ooh, I picked the FK one, I need the IK one. And we're also going to have to set up some visibility. So now we have an IK offset. Our IK knee offset should maintain that pose as we move our leg, which it does. And then if we go ahead and we take and we click the switch to FK, what we should see is our entire FK leg is going to line up to this. Okay, and it does. So now when we toggle back to IK, once again, we're good to go. So we're maintaining that. Now with our FK, if we go ahead and we move this, we have our offset, we can actually change where this is. And when we go ahead and toggle our switch, our knee does not move. The knee does not move. The twist joints do, because the twist is slightly different. So we would have to do a whole bunch of extra stuff for that. I am not going to worry about that right now. From a baseline leg standpoint, this is pretty cool. So it looks like we have that set up properly. Let's test one more thing. Make sure that we did not break our foot roll stuff. So if we take this and we are in, let's see, we're in FK mode. Let's go ahead and put a bend in our knee and test to see if we've broken our foot roll solve. It looks like we do have a problem. It looks like our ball is not actually connected right now. So we're going to have to take a look at that here in a second. So let's go ahead and do our snap. The snap looks good, but the problem is our ball is not connected. If we go from IK to FK, nope, it's not connected. So we're missing one control. We need to figure out where we missed that control. So let's see here. When we're in FK, which we are right now, this is not having an effect. So let's just see if we forgot to pass in a control. So our forward advanced FK control list does have the ball. All right, and inside of our advanced FK leg, here's all of our aim constraints. That's our aim constraint. We're setting the transform. Okay, I found it. Let me show you where we're at. So in our advanced FK leg, we weren't setting. What was happening was, because we're going through this loop, we're getting each of the controls and we're checking to see if the FK bone version of it exists. If it does not exist, it doesn't do anything. Well, there is no FK bone for the ball. So what we need to do is we need to do a little bit of work for the ball separately. Now, originally when I tried to plug the ball in, I tried to plug it in right here, but the problem is there's all this aim constraint and scaling and everything that's happening that kind of breaks it. So what we need to do is at the very end, after we set our foot, I'm going to go ahead and set the ball. And what I'm going to set the ball for the advanced FK leg is I'm going to get the controls. I'm going to get the ball control. I'm going to do some substituting, get the bone. I'm going to set the bone equal to the ball control. Pretty standard stuff. You set a joint to follow in a control and you're good to go. Then what we're going to do in our FK IK, or in our IK aligned to FK, we're going to keep all of the stuff that we were doing before for the foot roll, and we should be back in a position where we're good to go. So if we take our up leg and we rotate it, and we put it in place and we get this nice kind of offset, we should see as we do this, the IK adjusting. Now, normally you're not going to see the IK, but remember we have all this stuff turned on for debugging purposes. Now the ultimate test, first let me finish this test. If we go ahead and we snap back to IK, we are now in IK mode. The leg didn't move, rock solid. Okay, which is great. Let's go ahead and switch back to FK. The ultimate test again is going to be to see if we have that knee offset. When we switch back to IK, how well it does with the line. Let's see if we broke anything. Nope, we're solid. Okay, quick little scare at the end there that we had potentially undone a bunch of stuff. But overall, this wraps up our advanced leg. Now we've done something that's really cool here. We solved two pretty fun problems in rigging. So one of them being the ability to give Team Anim an offset for the knee that they can use, whether they're in IK or they're in FK. We can use it to do things like help with IK knee pops. We can also use that to break the knee pose in IK mode to, for example, to do a full reversal if we want to, which is fantastic. Now, we added the ability to use that same control in FK as well. It kind of just makes sense. It's weird to have the control in IK but not FK, and it also helps out with all of our alignment and snapping and everything like that. So that's one. The second thing that we solved by adding this knee offset in this advanced leg is we went ahead and we made it so that even when the FK chain is in a position that the IK chain cannot match, we now have a means to snap the IK chain to the FK position using that offset, which we could not do before because the leg we had built before wasn't robust enough to handle that, and the limitations in the IK solver as well. Now, overall, there are ways that you could make this a little bit simpler. For example, it is possible that all of the knee offsets for the FK chain itself could be potentially underneath the FK chain. However, if you do that, what I found was I had nothing to stabilize the aim constraints. So the thing to keep in mind here, this rig is not a rig that you're going to use at runtime. This is an animation control rig, and these are the controls we're giving our animators. When we set up a control rig for the actual runtime stuff, we're not doing FK IK snapping. We're not doing this. We want those rigs to be as simple as fast as possible. But we're trying to build out a base feature set that we are going to convert into a modular rig with the 5.4 update, starting with all of our basic controls as well as our legs and everything like that. We are now in a good place. I'm super happy with this leg. Obviously, we have a lot of work to do to test it. We are not done. We're going to need to take this, finish it off, and put it in the hands of Anim, see what breaks. So don't be surprised if we find some bugs, but we will tackle those as we go. As always, thank you for being the best part of this. Let me know what you thought of this entire series, breaking it up into chunks like this, making it a little bit more digestible, and throw that down in the comments down below. You can find us on Patreon, Discord, all those things. We appreciate all the support. If you like what we're doing, spread the word, let people know what we're all about. My name's Kevin. Hopefully I'll see you in an upcoming live stream or in the next video. Take it easy.